Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. Super exciting. Today is Friday, August 11th, and it is World Cross Stitch Day. So happy World Cross Stitch Day today. If you get a chance to stitch, I hope you have a fantastic time relaxing, enjoying, creating, whatever it is. And if you're watching this after the 11th, well, give yourself some stitching time, maybe while you're watching this video, and then just enjoy yourself and give yourself some you time. Alrighty, if you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play and giving my channel a try. Hope you like what you see and join us for more. If you're a returning stitching friend, well, thank you so much for being here as always. I love spending time with you and I love dogging stitching, so thank you. Alrighty, so on my notes, World Cross Stitch Day. We've already done that. Woohoo! The other thing I wanted to talk about before we just jump right into projects, today I might work myself, I say this at the beginning, but I might work myself a little faster just because, you know, you all are busy. You've got cross stitch to do today, and I have a Zoom later on that I have to get ready for, so we'll see what happens. Alrighty, but in regards to the cross stitch swaps, which if you don't know what my cross stitch trading card swap is, a couple videos before this one, there is a little extra and I explain it all to you if you are so inclined. But just a couple things that I wanted to address. I had one person ask, one of the biggest questions, and I mentioned this before, I think, was what kind of backing? And so I had a suggestion and a question. Somebody asked, could you use playing cards? And I could have sworn I had playing cards up here somewhere, and I don't. I don't know where they are in the house at the moment. I was going to pull them out and actually measure them. Obviously, playing cards come in different shapes, sizes. Off of the top of my head by memory, I think just your traditional playing card size is bigger than 3.5 by 2.5. So all you'd have to do is cut it down. But I mean, there's skinny cards and there's little cards and so obviously, as long as it's bigger than 2.5 by 3.5, you just cut it down to size. And sure, you can use it. Don't forget to sign the back though, and sign your name onto your trading card. But it might be kind of cool if you can figure out like a little sticker or something and you have some sort of design on the back. It might be neat. The other thing, Carla, from Carla Being Crafty, she's going to live up to her name right now because Carla is fantastic at taking everyday objects and using them for different things a lot of times. And she mentioned this in her most recent video when she was talking about, at the very beginning, about keeping things within your house. And so she showed a Kleenex box. And once you're done, right, you've got this Kleenex box. You can recycle it or throw it away or whatever you do with it. Or you can recycle it in the way of using it for different kind of projects, and especially paper crafting if you wanted something that was a little bit more solid. I think Carla uses them for her golden book journals. But all you have to do is cut down a 2.5 by 3.5 size. You know, one of the flaps is probably bigger than that. And so you could actually have a couple different pieces of that if you were so inclined. And remember that you're interfacing the back of your stitching. So you're actually protecting your stitching from whatever it is you're putting on there, if you're worried about what the thing is that you're attaching it to. And I use tape. Double-sided tape is what I use. It's not the only thing, it's just what I've had the most success with. So that was a great tip by Carla, because I had mentioned things like cereal boxes and things like that, and I'm gonna make sure I have to write down when I talk about somebody that I can link to them. But I have forgotten something as simple as Kleenex boxes, and most of us probably have those in our home. We don't eat cereal here, so we don't have cereal boxes. But certainly Kleenex boxes with my allergies, yes, we do. A lot of them. Anyway, so that was a great tip from Carla. So another thing, basically just look around your home if you are unsure of cardstock or things like that, and see what you can use. You don't want it tremendously thick, just something that's going to have a little bit of stiffness to it, just to have a way to hold up your trading card. All right, so that's that. You can go back to the trading card video if you have more questions about that, or feel free to ask questions as well. And I did answer all of the questions from that video, and I think I answered all the questions from this most recent past regular video. If there are other questions I've missed, feel free to ask again, because sometimes I see the comments and I put that mental note in to remind myself to actually go back, and then I forget. So I'm not gonna lie, I just forget. Alrighty, so let's talk projects. I have 10 projects to show you today. I have 2 starts out of that, and then I have plans for, well, today definitely, and then we'll go from there. Alrighty, so let's get started. My very first project I'm going to show you is it's my 25/7. So 25/7 is a, I don't remember who the original person was. Mandy, I know you're yelling at me because Mandy, you know, but somebody had come up with this idea. It's very simple. Like it's the same as like 1 thread a day or 30, I don't know, is it 30 minutes a day or whatever. There's a bunch of different things. This one happens to be 25 minutes a day on a project for 7 days a week. Now, I laughingly call it my 35/7 because it feels like I go 35 minutes, not 25. There happens to be a Facebook group. Melanie Watkins, the Soulful Stitcher, did start a Facebook group in regards to the 25/7. So anybody who wanted to participate in 25/7 and wanted to show off kind of what you're doing and how you're doing it and all that, there is a Facebook group. Let me write down my note here that I'm going to mention 25/7 group. And so if you are so inclined, you certainly can check that out on Facebook. But anyway, my goal was this month I wanted to get this piece finished. It's not there yet, but I always am afraid to jinx it, but you know what? I'm going to do it. I am confident I can finish this by the end of the month. All right, so it's from this set here. This set is called, actually it's an Etsy name. It's the Etsy name, so I'm just going to call it Sunflower Gnome because that's usually what I call it. Wonder Stitch UA from Etsy. This is a set of 3. They have all sorts of holiday gnomes. I've talked about them before. I have 3 or 4 of them started. This is the one I am working on. You're not going to see the background. I'm not stitching that, and I'm not stitching the grounding circle. I thought about it. And once it's completely finished, if for some reason I feel like it needs it, I'll put that. I won't put the back though. It's gonna look from a distance, it might almost look finished, but there is a lot of confetti in. I'm pretty much confined to this very last sunflower. They have lots and lots of colors, which gives it the beautiful depth and look. It's just a bear to stitch. Excuse me. I'm not gonna lie about that, but here it is. It's looking great. This is an 18 count unnamed fabric from Coffee Crafts Fabrics. I always like to mention and remind everyone, for all my UK friends, that this is a UK based hand dyer. So, you know, shipping might be a little bit better. It might be easier to get it, so on and so forth. If you want to check them out, she's on Facebook. And let me fold over because that part's been done. But just look at how fun, like, they just look like they pop off of the fabric, at least to me. But here I am, I'm down here. And if I bring it up close, you can see all the empty spots. I think, and there's 2 stitches in the glove that I missed and a tiny bit of the foot. Sometimes I've been using that because the confetti gets strong, that I'll go and, like, this is a chunk. So I have 1 more chunk of color, and I think then the foot's done. I almost have the center of the sunflower done. There's a few different colors there, but this is definitely fiddly. I'm switching a lot of colors. This is multiple pages for a pattern because you can see it's a big pattern. And I'm just doing it with a paper copy. I've got a working copy. I print it off. It's a digital, but I print it off. Usually I print off my digitals and then mark them off as I go. So there we are. Today is the 11th, so I have, 20 days left? I don't see why I can't get this one finished in that amount of time. I'm seeing some stray stitches up top here, so those must be a symbol that I haven't really tackled yet. So there might be some days that 25/35 minutes will get me only 40 stitches because of how many changes there are. And you stitch 5 here and then stitch 3 there and all over the place. So I'm pretty sure next week you will not see a finish on this, although I will continue to work on it daily. But I'm hoping by the end of the month. I'm not going to give myself any other deadline beyond that, because I don't know, given, things are going to ramp up a little bit near the end of the month, because we have to get ready to have Connor's going back to school. Connor is a rising junior in college, I guess. Or junior in college now, I guess. I guess, do they use the word rising anymore? College starts in less than a month now. So we'll be taking Connor and delivering him back to the college for a time. So that just means making sure everything is ready, and I don't want to address what the room looks like right now. It's a little bit messy. So trying to get all of that put together to get it back up to Massachusetts. So anyway, I'm pretty sure I still can finish it, but things will get a little dicey there for a little bit in August when it comes to stitching. And if that's something where I have to change and pull out, I might end up having to put it aside for a few days, because it might not be the most logical thing to do if I have just a little bit of stitching time in a given day. So we'll see. The next one, and here we go. I'm just going to show you the black and white copy. This is from Owl Forest Embroidery, and it is my black vintage sampler. And I chose to use black. I'm sitting there staring at the back of it, so it looks like I'm staring into space. I chose to use black, and I'm using Anchor Black, not 310. This one's so cool. I love this one. So here we go. I get to do the whole hold it up kind of thing. That's what it looks like. It's no longer, this is my fabric. I don't think it goes completely down. I can't remember how far down it goes, but this is a good size. It is 191 by 353. But this is 18 count Rainy Day from Bestitchme. I love this color. I really need to order some more. I should just order it, because this way it doesn't matter how long it takes. I'll have it when I need it. But it's a wonderful blue. I think the black looks really nice against it, and it really helps those symbols pop. So if I fold it down a little bit, because the top section now, oh, before I forget, remember the last time I was talking about this? I was talking about how this side I've been putting off because it's heavy weight-wise, because I stitch lefty. So I hold in my right hand, and then there's a lot of fabric to corral. Well, several of you are brilliant, and you mentioned, well, Laura, why don't you just flip it upside down and stitch it upside down? I knew that 30 years ago, or whenever it was that I was stitching, and I remember distinctly doing it, because I used to be a center starter. And so a lot of times I would flip and do several things upside down. Never even occurred to me. And then when I was thinking, oh, will it work? But the legs will still be the same, right? So thank you so much, everybody who pointed that out to me, that I could just flip it upside down. I haven't yet, as you can see. I haven't gotten any farther. I got stuck on working on the carriage. I really wanted to get that done, but almost 500 stitches later, and it's still. What I ended up doing was I finished up here, and I started the flower here. So this all the way across, this element is done. The border is going to be coming along down here now. So everything along this side is as far as you've got elements without border. And I kind of was, I don't know. I had to go to the doctor's office for a checkup, and you wait a long time. And because this was monochromatic, I said, I'll bring this. And I did get some good stitching there, I'm going to tell you. But, I think I didn't want to do some counting there, and the flower was a little bit easier, so I did this stuff at the doctor's office. That's probably why I didn't really concentrate on finishing that. So I'm thinking, this was my new year, new start. It's not going to get finished by the end of 2023. Just not happening. But looking ahead to 2024, I'm thinking about this piece and Summer Quaker. And maybe there'll be a couple more, but if I rotate, for now, I'm taking those two. And again, this is August of 2023. by January 2024, all bets are off. But I was thinking about taking those two projects and switching each week, putting in, you know, I like to put in 4 to ideally 500 stitches on a piece each week. I don't always get that. But if I could do 500 stitches each week on this, and then switch the next week, do Quaker, and then switch summer Quaker, and then switch to this and go back and forth, then in 2024, I could very well have some finishes on these. Because this one, this is probably about half. So obviously I have the rest of this year if I work on it, and then next year. So I don't see, if I can continue with it, I don't see why it couldn't be a finish. But yeah, 1 year, I think 1 year. And I don't think I started it with the idea that I wanted to finish it within a year. I'm pretty sure I realized that that was unrealistic, given the fact that I'm not a monogamous stitcher by any way, shape, or form, if you haven't figured that out yet. So that's an idea. Do you have a couple of pieces like that that you kind of focus on? I know sometimes people do like a focus for the entire year. I don't know if I'd want to do that necessarily. Each week do that same thing every week. Sometimes people have a monthly focus and a certain amount each month. But I figured maybe if I pick, and maybe I end up picking 4, and 1 week a month, I rotate between them to try to get 500. It kind of depends on if I'm looking for 2024 finishes or not. So we'll see. And I just completely wrinkled this. Oh, sometimes I just, you know, I crack myself up. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to my first start of this video. Not a surprise. Each month I've been starting these. I have until October, because last November is when I started these each month. So really I have September and October left after this. This is August's Poppy. It is from Cottage Garden Samplings. And I went neutral. You're going to see, I actually have 3 neutral fabric projects this week. I know. Who am I? Although you just saw, actually more than that, because then there's a couple others I'm showing you that are more grays. You just saw that blue. So you know I'm not completely going away from my color fabrics, but you know, sometimes you just need a good neutral. And I was thinking about this one. I didn't want to really do green, because you know, you've got the idea of the ocean, and because there's so many shades of blue, I wasn't sure about that. So I said, let's kind of go kind of sandy and beachy instead. And that's what I did. And I don't have a huge start. See, look at that. Nice wrinkles after I had gotten it all set. Let me bring it up close. Now, the one thing on this fabric, which is 18 count Amber Waves from Atomic Ranch, it's a very lovely color. I don't know how easy it is to get Atomic Ranch. I know I got this from a shop on Etsy. The white, if you're trying to do something with a lot of white, it's not going to show up very well. I'm not really particularly worried about that, because if you look here, so the white up top is just a little bit of a border. And it's not even really necessary, to be honest with you. They all have borders, right? So I feel like even if it doesn't show, it's not the end of the world. And I'm thinking where it's the words, where it says the waves, they also have the white on there. I was debating on doing that, maybe like a light, really light blue white kind of thing instead. Or it might show up fine, given that it's underneath the words. If you notice in here, this white down in this corner is all surrounded by other colors, so I'm not worried about that. So that's the one piece you're not going to necessarily see very well. And there's not much of this color, which is kind of like a sandy color. And I was worried when I pulled it out that it wouldn't show up, but actually in person you can see it. It looks nice. It's kind of like a tone on that. So there's just a little bit more of that kind of sandy area down here to kind of round out the border before you get to the floral part. But that's what I have. You're going to see lighthouses today. I've got another lighthouse to show you on similar fabric. August is a nice start for lighthouses. And in fact, today's start, that piece has a lighthouse too. So, you know, hey, it is the way it is. That's what it looks like And again, what I have been treating these with or like is that I do what I can. I'm not rushing to try to get them done in this month. I'm starting them all once a month, and then starting with November actually, but mostly next year, each month I will pull them back out again and see what I can get done. I'm not going to push for a finish because I'm not going to put pressure on myself like that, to be honest with you. If it gets done, it gets done. If it doesn't, there's 2025. I'm not particularly worried about it. They're going to be scrapbooked, so, and I might be able to do them 2 months in a scrapbook up top if I do like an 8.5 by 11. That might be fun. So I'm not particularly worried about, oh, I got to get them out to display them for a specific month. Alrighty, next. I did not pull this out. Photos. I did not pull this out last week. I had been trying to work on it a little bit each week. That's not going to be realistic. Moving forward, it's just when I can get to it or when I think, and I'll do a chunk of days, but it's my temperature chart. Now this is a little bit different. I'm going to show you the black and white little tiny picture that I have, but I did pull up this. So Zara Designs is the Etsy shop. I first saw this being stitched by Leanne, Small Town Stitches. Leanne, we haven't seen it in a while. No pressure, because I know there's a lot going on with you. But you were the one that convinced me that I needed to do this one as the temperature stitch. And so now I need to see yours. And then somebody did put a comment that, is it 2 tall stitchers? One of them, and I did see her, I watched the video, one of the videos I watched, she was showing it. One of them is also stitching it for this year. Now, obviously, it's much farther along than what you're going to see with mine because I'm going backwards. What I am doing, if you are new, is I am taking Mo and I, my husband Mo. If you're really new, that's who Mo is. I talk about him a lot, usually with a little bit of exasperation. Not going to lie. We were both born in the same city 1 year apart. So what I decided to do was take his birth year and my birth year for the city and stitch them up. And I'm stitching them up at the same time because you know if you do one, odds are you'll never want to do the other one, potentially. I mean, maybe you're more motivated than me. I know myself. I would have a hard time kind of getting myself up to do that project again. Maybe. I really like this design, so I'm enjoying it. But let me show you. This is called, I think it's called Mini Stars. I am, because Etsy is starting to show personal information, when you go to a page and you've ordered from a shop before, or you've ordered a specific item from them, I have been taking to making a screenshot and putting it in my photos. So that's what it looks like. But do you see that's new? Let me show you what mine, if you see mine there, it goes all the way to the center. And what they did is they just backstitched the year and the place down below. This picture has it in the center. Now, I don't know if both are offered. I myself, I think I prefer where it's completely closed. I'm not sure I'm going to stitch the year and I might, but it's going to be scrapbooked. So I'm going to have the year and the city in the scrapbook. So it's really not going to matter if I stitch it as well. It's all going to be in there. So if you're interested, and oops, we don't want that photo yet. These, it says 2024 ready, which is why I'm not sure if she's redone her designs to change it up. You can always ask. And I don't think, oh, I'm not on the Etsy site. I was going to say, I don't know if they offer it in both ways. That could be something you could ask as well. But I did see that all of their temperature charts do have the logo 2024 ready. So obviously, if you're looking to get one started for next year, the beauty of this one is there's no pre-stitching. You just stitch a star a day. So let's see. This has got the M. So this is Mo's year. January is finished. What it will do is it does this kind of thing and it just spirals towards the center. So presumably the colors in the center are going to mimic what was the outer, which is kind of cool. You know what I mean? So you kind of, especially because we were New England, Mo and I were both born in Connecticut. So you definitely have kind of that 4-season sort of color scheme. So it should get to the colder colors back again in December. But that's what his looks like. I'll do them separately and then I'll do my best to show them together. That's the full month. His year, January, started to warm up and get a little bit better. It was colder at a smaller section there. Now mine looks like this. And it was pretty temperate most of January, then it dropped down a little bit. Now these are done in 18 count, what is it called? Silver lining from To Dye For Fabrics. It's a really lovely gray. I do not know how white would look on this. So if you were doing something that had a lot of white, that's always the question, right? Are those light colors? I wonder, because I did have to change a couple of the called for, let's see here, what is this? Mo and myself. Both of them, January is done. I'm gonna have to come up with a good way to, I can't see, a good way to show them once there's more. I did have to change a couple of the colors, and I noticed it more with Mo's because I had a lot of purples up top. But there was a blue that was completely sort of fading in. So I had to, obviously the whole idea of these is there's a nice variation as you go with the different temperatures up. So I did have to pull out my DMC, my book, and I kind of tried to do the best I could, because once I changed one, I had to change about 2 or 3. It doesn't say right here in these notes what colors I used. So if you end up using a gray, say for something like this, if you wanted to, and you wanted to know what I changed, you can ask. If I remember, and I don't always remember, somebody actually reminded me last week that I hadn't done the face of my Prairie Schooler Santa, which should be on there now. I think I changed it. Okay, I'm looking. I changed 5 actually in the end. So from 29 degrees all the way down to to whatever would be the lowest temperature. I changed 5 of those just because like below 7 and below was very, very light baby blue, and then another baby blue, and you know, and they just didn't really work. So if you're interested, ask away. I'd be happy to share what I did. And that's a lot of fun. I thought about doing it for Megan and Connor. They were also born in the same city as us, but they're 2 years apart. So 20 months or so, but obviously 2 calendar years apart. So that they're kind of similar in that sense too. I'm not sure on my notes, does it say what the final, because it would be really cool if I could do a baby picture with it. On 18 count, it is 7 3/4 by 8 1/2. So I probably, if I do 12 by 12 pages on my scrapbook, I might be able to also put either a baby picture or 2. If I could, well, I know Mo does. Mo has way more pictures than I do. But I think I might be able to scavenge a baby picture or 2. Not 100% sure about that. But, and that might be kind of fun to have them at the bottom. So I would do the same thing with Megan and Connor if I do, but I would take a break because once this project is done, I'm going to need a break from, those stars are great though. They're 21 stitches. So if that's something you were interested in, say for next year, or pick a special year, whatever that special year happens to be for you, and you could stitch it up that way. All right, next. I have been thinking about what I'm going to do with this one. This is for a friend from Hello by Liz Matthews. Now, first, I'm not, so there's changes coming to, well, already to this one. This outer border here, that's the, I don't even know what the design is, but you can see it. That outer, I'll say poofy thing. I'm not doing that. I am doing the inner black border. It's really kind of cute, and on its own, it looks really cute. So that was the first change I planned on making. Then I just did not count. I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't count properly when I was starting my piece. And so on the left edge, this comes out a little bit farther than what I've already got stitched, and it's going to come fairly close to the edge. Now, not a huge deal, probably being scrapbooked, cutting down, but then somebody had mentioned, well, why don't you switch sides? Because I haven't done, if you can see here, So she has it designed where you have the yellow flower, little up here, big up here to counterbalance this. So you've got your visual triangle. Why don't you just switch sides? I hadn't done any of the yellows, so good idea. And that's easy enough to figure out. I mean, I haven't gotten down here on either side yet, so it would be easy enough to do that. And you just mirror image the flowers, no big deal. Then I got to thinking, and I thought, those flowers in the corners are kind of really pretty. Maybe I do just the flowers and close this off. Or maybe I really fill it up because I don't have this element anymore, and maybe I want to add extra. Maybe I do flowers in all four corners, or maybe just the bottom. I don't know. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this little guy. How cute would this be as a little trading card? I think that would be adorable. It's small enough, and it's not so many crazy colors that it would be too much. I think that would be adorable. But what if I close this off, stitch this separately, and I might stitch it separately also for the scrapbook page and have them as two matching elements because it's the same colors within. And either 2 sets of flowers, 4 sets of flowers, different direction or not. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch everything but the yellow and then make a decision there. So that's where I'm standing with that. So there was a long and winding road to get to that. And I kept changing my mind what I was going to do. But this is what I have so far. I love that floral element. Obviously, that's the first thing that caught my attention. So that may be the focus. Like I said, I may not even do any yellow flowers, or I might do some, but I really obviously want that. So I did a little bit more of the flowers, just did some more, but I really concentrated here. That's completely finished. I think, oh, no, there's just a little section right there and right there. But I've already got the little decorative element in the middle. But, and now I don't have to worry. I can just work my way down with this border, and it's a nice, easy repeating border. Again, I'm not sure, is it showing up? See how cute it is? It's just a very simple border, but lots of fun. And then this one will zip along a little bit more. There are a couple different greens, and I'm almost sure I did not change any of the greens. Let me see if I see anything. Oh, nope, I take that back. 730 was one of the greens, and I changed it to 3052. I wanted something that was a little less mustard yellow, because that 730 can have that tone on some things. I don't even have it here, and it's too low for me to reach in my DMCs. I wanted that kind of that lighter green instead, and so that is a change I did make, and it comes up nicely on this color. So there we go. That's what it looks like. It's gonna look vastly different in the picture when it's done, but honestly, I think you're used to that by now with me, right? This one got about 500 stitches to finish up. Let me see, where is it? Here we go. And this is the full coverage that I worked on this week. I only worked on it for I had 3 or 4 more days in the rotation, but I had one pretty good day. So I did get just about 500 stitches since you've seen it last. This is called Limoncello. It is charted by Stitches So Beautiful. They're an Etsy shop, and the artwork is by Magee. I love the stained glass. There's probably maybe 5 or 6 stained glass-ish. I think that's how many pieces from Magee so far that have been charted by Stitches So Beautiful, and they're so cool. And I couldn't decide, but I ended up going with this one. There is kind of a cool Wizard of Oz one that I thought about too. And here I am. I brought in some more colors. So we have, and it's funny because I pulled out, and I hadn't realized it, but those are the leaves. I pulled out, it was like 905 or 906, and I was thinking to myself, how is that color supposed to go up there? But, you know, like everybody says, just trust the pattern. because you know I'm not working on, I'm just working on the chart, so I'm not really paying attention to the actual picture. I could have just looked at the picture, but so I pulled in the different greens. I've got the different types of mauves and pinks going in there, and I ended up with this one, rather than going across or down in a specific way, I just kept filling in the little bits of the kind of stained glass look. So this part is definitely a good amount of confetti, because you have a lot of different small leaves, different color leaves too, between the kind of the mauves and the purplies and then the greens, plus all of the different parts of the stained glass look. So definitely this section here is intensive when it comes to changing colors. And obviously it's an arch right top here. So over here in this corner, it will be similarly confetti heavy. But then looking at it in general, there's a lot of fun parts to it. So, and there are sections that should be less confetti heavy. I'll do that. I was about to make up a word. It wasn't working. 18 count white aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross is how I do my full coverage. I have this one that I did and finished up for the week, and then I gave myself a couple days break. I couldn't decide what I was going to stitch. I have pulled out, and I'll show you during plans what my next full coverage 10-day rotation will be. And then I'm hoping, Amy, if you're watching, I know she's on vacation. Amy, once you're back from vacation and you watch, tell me after this rotation if we want to start the other Stitches So Beautiful piece together. So I might have a new full coverage start in a couple weeks time. Alrighty, next. This one you haven't seen in quite some time, and it really needs to get finished this year. I happened to look at, I had to look at my notes because I didn't know what the fabric was, and I don't think it said inside, but April of 2022 is when this was started. So there's no reason that this one shouldn't be a finish by the end of this year. It is, I think it's called Poppies in Summer, or Summer Poppies. I've been kind of making it up as I go. It's Crocette Gogo. I did do one of these already. I think there's 3. I own 2 and I have stitched 1. I'm not sure I'd do the 3rd. They all have this beautiful border, but whew, I have to psych myself up to stitch that part. I'm not gonna lie about that. And it was a different neutral that the other one was on. These will probably go side by side in scrapbook pages, so I think it'd be fun. That's where we are right now. And actually, that white's coming up really nice on the camera there. In person, you can see it, but I wasn't sure on the camera if it would pop. This is Color and Cotton. It's an 18 count and it's called Old West. I was at one point in Fabric of the Month for Color and Cotton, and then I just rotated out of it. But they had some fun colors that I didn't have, especially some more on the neutral sides. It was very neutral heavy, so it was nice to get some of those. I did a little bit of flower, but I'm feeling like I need to really kind of concentrate on some more of the border, because once I'm on, except for, actually, I'm done with the big parts. I have to finish that flower, and then I have to do the centers of those 2. There's one little hanging bit of color of the flower, and then it's all greenery, but that'll go fast. But then I'll have this border that I'll be stuck with. So I don't want to do that to myself. And actually down this side, the border is pretty, it's a little bit easier to do than across. So I was here and I did all of that, and that's all done up to here, as well as some other things. So I'm happy with the progress on this, but I definitely need to focus on border, and I definitely need to pull this out more over the next several months to get this one done in 2023. It really should. I haven't scrapbooked the other one. I think I was waiting till this one was finished, and that way, which makes sense to me, because then obviously I can kind of have them in some sort of matching sort of idea. All right, next is my Wizard of Oz tree from Tiny Modernist. I can't tell you how much joy stitching this brings. First, I love the fabric I chose. I really adore it. And just stitching all these little tiny pieces just makes me smile. It's very clever how she charted it. It's very clever how it really does look like all the different pieces. I am now backstitch. I am going to go back and do. So some things may look like the witch doesn't have her mouth or part of her, you know, the eyes and stuff part. So things might look a little incomplete. I'll do the backstitch afterwards. I am done for basically from here up. So now I am focusing on this row of the tier, and I pretty much, 2 stitches in the little lion's cheeks, and then the Tin Man's not done yet, but halfway done. Let me show you from a distance. Isn't that a beautiful fabric? This is actually an opal. It's 18 count opal blue ice from To Die For Fabrics. Can you see the sparkle? Now, it's hard to see them, but there's a few different areas here where I don't know if they're Smyrna crosses. There's something like that. Let me see. Does it say what exactly they are? They're just being called backstitch, but I don't need them. I have sparkle all the way through, and in fact some of the sparkle even comes through some of the people, which is kind of cool, or some of the elements I should say. So I'm not putting those in. But isn't the little lion adorable? Love him. Really liking how the Tin Man is coming together as well. I will get those 2 done, and then there's a bunch of elements on each side of them. I have been going back and forth doing the frame with the pieces. So I'll do some of the pieces, and then I'll go back and do the frame and keep working my way down. I love this one. Whenever I want something that just kind of makes me smile a little bit, I pull this out. So this has definitely seen a good amount of stitching time. I started that in May, and we're in April, and I think there's some pretty good progress I've made in that. And part of that is just the pure fact that I just really enjoy stitching it, to be honest with you. Now I have another start. That was a tree. This one is signs, and then I do want to start the tier tray from Erin Elizabeth. That's the summer one, hopefully this month. I don't have fabric chosen for that yet, but this one was started, well, I planned on starting it last year and I totally goofed. This is called Signs Series Summer from Twin Peak Primitives. That's what it looks like. So it's a version of a tree or a tiered tray or any of those kinds of things. The last time I stitched it, I goofed and I forgot that this is farther in than the end of the last row. And so I measured and just measured in my normal amount and started this. Not realizing until I was done with this what would happen. So I ended up cutting that out and using it as a trading card. That was sent last year to somebody. And I put this aside and said I'd start it later on. And this August is the later on. I'm using the same fabric I had originally chose for it. That's all I have, but this is something like 350 stitches so far on this lighthouse. So that's really all I have. This is an 18 count. It's Caramel Macchiato from Fabrics by Stephanie. It's a great one if you want to do anything kind of beachy because it's got that vibe. Obviously, it can go with a lot of different things. Look at how well those colors so far are showing up against it. So I have a feeling all the different colors are going to look nice on here. Now, I am changing, I think the colors I'm going to go with. I know that there is a little mistake in the pattern. I also last year, I took those 3 kind of hut looking things and I stitched those as a little element and I sent those as a trading card. There was at the time just a mistake or 2 in the actual chart. It was easy to figure out the difference, but just beware if you're doing that. And then wouldn't this, I don't know if this would work, but wouldn't that little element be cute for a trading card? I haven't done that, but that was super cute. This worked out really nice too. This one I made a horizontal, that one I made vertical. But that's what's really nice about these. I mean, think about if you had like something themed. You could do Dorothy and the Scarecrow or Dorothy and the Tin Man, or if you needed something and you needed a little witch, if you were doing something Halloween-y. These types of charts and elements are fantastic if you're not sure what you want to do for a trading card pattern, because there's wonderful little elements in these things. So look at them that way if you are trying to figure out. Now, I don't know if there's any autumn tier trays out there at the moment because our current theme is autumn, but you know what I mean. And going forward, look at these charts in a whole new way. The other thing I'm going to change is in the center here. I live in Delaware, so we're going to put the word Delaware. And what's really nice is those letters are already in the other words here. So I don't even have to chart any of the letters. I just have to pick them out. I'll get a little bit of graph paper and make sure I have it right, or redo. Yeah, I'll probably do graph paper just to make sure. I'd like to have it centered properly and everything else like that. But that's a ways off yet. This is all I have right now. But I'm looking forward to getting this one stitched. It's a lot of fun. And I'm happy I'm back to it. I definitely needed that break though after I made that mistake. But it was a really cute trading card, I do have to say. I'm gonna toot my own horn on that one. The last piece that I worked on for stitching is one that I hadn't planned on doing. And a couple days ago, I was just deciding what to stitch. And I said, you know, I just feel like stitching some of my Prairie Schooler Santa. So this is the 2023 Prairie Schooler Santa. And you know I switched up the color fabric, or you will see soon if this is my first video you've watched. And I did change his face. Now I did, I'm almost sure I added it to last week's description, and I usually just cut and paste. So it's not too difficult for me when I do the description boxes, is I just take the information. And even if I have to type it again, it literally takes 2 seconds for me to type it. So I will, again, in the description box below, I will tell you what the face change is. Now, depending on what fabric I use as a background will dictate what colors I change Santa's faces to. They were a totally different scheme when I did the Picture This Plus Jade. And then I don't know when I did it on a coffee tea dyed piece of fabric. I might have done the same color because it kind of did okay. But this is, the face is 945 and the cheeks are 225. There's not a huge amount of difference in them, but really it's a small little area where the face is. And you're looking at it from a distance. This will be an ornament, so I'm not particularly worried. No, so again, that's completely different. If you go back and see my ones on Picture This Plus Jade, I should have those are, because those are completely different color scheme. But look at how nice those snowflakes are looking on the blue. Ironically, I didn't do any snowflakes, so this one is fantastic for blocks. I finished this whole part of Santa's coat, and I am just trucking along. We have this section, all blocks of color. Even the lantern is not much. I'm not doing the border. I'm not doing the words. I'll probably add another snowflake or two up here. And I am doing all the snowflakes because, I mean, look at this fabric. This is an 18 count. It's a scrap of blue. I'm not sure what it is. But I think the white just pops so nicely on this. So I'm really looking forward to getting this one done. And yeah, I want to do a series of blue Santas for some of the Prairie Schoolers. Not all of them on this. I think I'm just going to do, I did 4 or 5 on Jade. I'm not sure I want to do all of them on a the exact same color the next time around. Maybe just do a shade. So different shades of blue might be the next thing I tackle. So we'll see. But if you celebrate Christmas and you are looking for a Prairie Schooler Santa that is on the quicker side to stitch, I would recommend this year's, the 2023, because there's huge blocks of color, unlike some of the other ones that I've done, and it is very quick going. Very quick. And that's the stitching. I just heard a thud downstairs. I'm not going to ask. We're just going to keep going. That's my stitching for the week. I did scrapbook 1 page, so I did want to show that to you. And here it is. It's from Stone Street Stitchworks, and I don't know for the longest time, Stone Street, and let me check I'll check Etsy real quick here. Stone Street has been on vacation, and I am not sure if they are coming back, if they're going to think about doing their own website. I'm doing a quick look here. Nothing's coming up. So they might be still on vacation, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure what's happening with that. I don't, off the top of my mind, I want to say it's like Leafy Lane or something was the name of this one. Super fun. And I just did, originally I was going to layer it on, I think I was going to do the brown layer. No, I was just going to do the maroon layer because I wanted to pick up the maroon in the tree. And then I might have been putting it on brown or something. And then I was thinking, well, what if I've got maroon layer, brown layer to pick off the two different colors and then just layer it on maroon. I did try that and it was just needed a little oomph. So I just did another layer of brown. So 2 pieces of cardstock is all that took to get this one ready for the scrapbook. Again, you do not need a ton of supplies. And I did interface the back of this. I always interface when I go to put them on the scrapbook. So this one will go in my 9x7 book. So that's that. And I was asked, am I going to do any flip throughs? And as soon as I have, I'm plugging along. And when I have, whether it's either going to be the 9x7 or the 8.5x11 or the ones that'll be finished first or have a good chunk done first. And when I have a decent amount, I will do extra videos where I'll do flip throughs. So that will be coming. It's just a matter of when. My new full coverage piece, speaking of plans moving ahead now, is going to be Watching the World Go By. And that's the teeny tiny picture of it. I am really bummed because Lucy Pittaway went off of Heaven and Earth. Now you can get some of her charts as kits through, I want to say, Bothy Threads. It's not all of them, and honestly, I just wouldn't want the kit. I like to be able to get them like this and do my own thing. So I'm a little bummed about that. Let me show you where I am at the moment with this one. I don't even have to unfold it halfway because that's it. But that's the width of it. So we do have that. And we're just going to keep going from there. I hadn't realized that they were going off of Heaven and Earth. There were a couple more. I do have at least 1 or 2 others, but there was others I would have gotten if I had known they were going to go off of Heaven and Earth, but I missed that. Now, today is World Cross Stitch Day, so I do have a start. I'm going to start a new start because, you know, can never have too many new starts. And this one was in my August, so this is not something that, it was in my August plans, so it's not something that's totally off kilter. But what I'm going to stitch it on has changed, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm going to stitch Summer at the Shore, Cottage Garden Samplings. This is number 8 in the Time for All Seasons, yes, Time for All Seasons series. I have a few of those going. I know I have the turkey going. And I have a few of them. I don't have all 12. I don't have plans of stitching all 12. There's only, oh, my bee. My bee is also part of this series. It'll be, I know I have the snowman, which I think is cute. So I know at some point I'll stitch that as well. How many or which ones beyond that, I'm not sure. So originally, I knew I wasn't necessarily going to do a light blue because there's a lot of white. Right? So that was my dilemma there because a lot of times, especially something oceany, nautical, I like that light blue fabric. Then I said, well, you know, I kind of like it on the called for. Now, again, I have to be careful because obviously the whole sails of this ship and then half of the seagull themselves is all white. So, because the water doesn't matter so much. And the half of the lighthouse doesn't because it's got the red in between. But I do have to be careful. So then I was starting to look at my different yellows, and I thought about amber waves until I started stitching the August poppies, and I realized the white really wasn't going to pop enough. Then I have a Facebook group, And we do bunches of different things in that group. And one of the things that I've just started, I've just put my very first, where are my photos? Color challenge. It's a 2-week challenge. And if I was to, I'll show you the picture first, and then I'll tell you what my prompt was with it, just to give you kind of an idea. But I thought it would be lots of fun to start expanding our idea of what we can do with color, right? Whether it's whatever part of the stitching or finishing or whatever you're doing. And there are tons of these. I have a whole board on Pinterest because I used to use this idea for card making, and there were color challenges for card making all the time. So I have tons of options here, and I went easy. It's summer. I went something with the summer tones to start with, just so that we can kind of get an idea. But for the next 2 weeks, starting on, I think it was the 8th I started this, and it'll go through whatever 2 weeks from that is. Might be a Tuesday to a Tuesday kind of thing. This is the color challenge. So what I'm doing here is these types of things, they take a picture in decor or nature or something or other, and they pull out the colors, which are what's down here, and you can see how colors go together. Now this one, obviously, there's a lot of different shades that are similar. So this one would be a little bit easier, but some of them it's really cool because you'll have this scheme and then there'll be a color in left field that you wouldn't think would go. But if you see it in the picture, in nature, in whatever, you realize it does. So the 2-week color challenge for this time period is this right here. This is color challenge number 1. If you'd like to join, if you'd like to participate and you don't want to be on Facebook, that's fine. Do a quick look at this color scheme. And let me tell you what I had said on my Facebook group, just to kind of give it as a guidance. Oh, that's not what I want. Where am I? So the idea, so you use the picture and the colors to inspire either a new start, maybe working on a whip that you have, a work in progress, some sort of project that you need to get a little bit of work done on, a full finish color scheme. Maybe it's done and you're not sure what colors to use for a full finish. Maybe use these color challenges that way. You do not have to use all the colors shown. That's not the object of this. The object of this is to take a few of the colors and work with them together. Just a minimum of 2. That's all I say. So if you want to start with baby steps, do 2. If you want to maybe stretch yourself, do 3, 4, 5. This one has 6 different colors, you know. Think about your fabric color, your floss, or any other finishing elements that can be used. And then in Facebook, I'm asking people to post a picture of what they're working on. There's no rules. If you'd like to do this and send me a picture, I would love to see what you're doing if you're not on Facebook. You know, I like to include everybody, whatever your comfort level is with the internet. And it's an idea just to explore creativity, explore that side of you that maybe you say, I have a lot of people that always say, oh, I'm just not really good with color. Well, this is a good way to just practice, you know what I mean? Expand your comfort with changes in color or ideas. And it can be something tiny. If you have a color scheme in your home that you prefer and you do a lot of decor stitching, go for it. But maybe in a little trading card or a little tiny piece, an ornament or something else, expand with that color. And sometimes the small ones are easier to do than the bigger ones. But one more time to see it, if you would like to participate, this is it. And that's what it looks like. Now, I will get trickier as we go along. I will sometimes potentially do colors of seasons, maybe not always. In the beginning, I'm starting with that. So think about that color scheme. If you look, this picture has different ones of those colors. It definitely has the gray, light, you know, the grayish blue with the light and the dark. It also then starts to veer into some of the other blues, maybe like this one. And that made me think about, what did I want to do for fabric? And I'm going out there. I'm doing it. See this teal? That's my inspiration. And so I am going to start this today, and I'm going to stitch it on this. This is Compelling Conscious. I really need to ask. It's from Those Missing Stitches. I need to ask her how to say that properly. I'm going with that. But isn't that, I'm really, really curious to see how that's going to work. But if you look, those teals look gorgeous in that wave. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I think the extra color, like the red or the yellow, is going to look beautiful on that. This is and you can do more than one with the color challenge. You don't have to do just one. And you know me, I could very easily pick up some more. But this is the first one I am attempting with the color challenge. And I'm super excited because this is pulling me. I would never have said, let's do this fabric with this pattern, even though you know how much I love color. But seeing it together made me say, let's give it a try. So that is being started today. And you will see next week how it looks. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be that much because how much am I going to get stitched in a week, right? But something. I actually have to prepare my fabric. I don't know. Sometimes I don't cut my fabric ahead of time. We'll see if I get to it or if I just start in the corner of it by the time it starts. Those are my plans. That start for today and the Lucy Pitaway full coverage, I know for a fact I'm working on this week. And I know Summer Gnome obviously is getting some work. And then from there, who knows? We'll see what happens. Alrighty. Shopping, I have fabric to show you. I have potentially some other things coming, but you know, it's fabric. I have a lot of the other stuff, right? I don't really need a lot of the other stuff, but I'm always love pushing the boundary of fabrics. And then I also do fabric of the month, and I happen to have 2 this week. All right, so if you do not want to see the Bestitchme fabric of the month for, well, it would have been July if we're in August now. You're going to look away. I'm not going to say the name. So look away now. I get the 18 count and I get the color. This is the name. And I'm holding it up, so don't look yet. And this one is more modeled than some of the others that Brandy has a tendency to send. I'm okay though, the modeling works. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to put it down. Okay, you can look back. So that was my fabric of the month for July for Bestitchme. Now, fabric of the month from Under the Sea Fabrics. And I don't remember which way Leslie does it. If she does the previous month or she does the current month. I don't know. All I know is that Under the Sea Fabrics are beautiful. This one is not modeled. It's really kind of funny. This one has pretty much no modeling at all. And I am one of those that I like it both ways. If it was really extreme modeling with extreme colors, I'm never sure what to do with that. That one with Brandy, that's fine. I don't have any problems with that one. That's going to work. But I also like non-modeled fabric too. And this one just happens to be, I'd say no modeling at all. This one is called, and now, oh, you know what? If I don't want to spoil it for anybody, I cannot say the name. All right. So this is for Under the Sea Fabric. Now you can't get the fabric of the months from Under the Sea during the current year anyway. So even if I can't say exactly what it is, I'll try to hold it up, but it's very small. You have to wait at the end of the year. I think she usually makes a decision of a few of the colors. First, she opens it up and you can order certain colors at the end of the year if you're not in the Fabric of the Month Club. And then sometimes she does bring some of those into her line of fabrics. As far as I can tell, that's how I've figured it out. I'm, you know, on the newer side, right, to hand-dyed fabrics. It's only been a couple of years. That's how I think it works. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so I'm going to hold this up. If you do not want to see the Under the Sea Fabric of the Month, look away. I'm not sure it's going to read it, but that's the name of it. Not a surprise. And that would kind of give it away. Let me hold it up. This is 18 count, as I usually get. And very pretty. Zero modeling, really. And that's fine. Really looks nice. I don't know what I'm using it for yet, but you can look back now. But I really like that. And then the last set of fabric I have to show you is, it's from Those Missing Stitches, which is the same fabric that I showed you for my Summer at the Shore. She did add some more fabrics, and so of course I went and looked. I think I had watched her video. And she said she had added some more, so I went and looked. Now, in 18 count, 2 of them are pretty similar, depending on if you want something light or dark. So I will show you that next to each other, which will give you an idea if you have something in mind, which one to order in 18 count. I have no idea in Luganos or even weaves, whatever they are, or linens, if they would be radically different. So let me show you those 2 first. I bought 3. This first one is called Lovely Lizzie. And that's what it looks like. I'm going to do it from the back so we can see the full. That's Lovely Lizzie. Very pretty. The modeling is not as stark as that, but it is visible and it's pretty. Now, this one is called Modest May. And it's a little brighter. But you can see, if you want, it's a similar kind of, this one's a little pinkier. This one's a little, I was going to say peach, but no, the darkest ones are a little pink. But you can see one is brighter than the other. So if you wanted something that was a bit more subtle, I'd say go with this one. And remember, I'm talking 18 count. If you want something that's a little bit brighter and a little bit darker, Modest May over Lovely Lizzie. So those both are 18 counts from those missing stitches. And then the last one, I went totally neutral, I know. But I do like to have some neutrals. And this one, and really, I love this book, so Poetic Pony Boy. I had to get that. If you haven't noticed that for those missing stitches, all of them reference a favorite literary character of hers. And I think it's showing up a little bit lighter. It's a little bit darker in person than that 18 count. But it's fun. It's pretty. It's just a nice neutral. Maybe that shows it better. It's a really nice neutral. So that's it. Those is, oh my goodness. Those pieces of fabric are my shopping for the week. Woo. I hated grammar parts of diagramming sentences and grammar and when I had to take English. I think mostly middle school. What about you? Were you loved? I love, reading and writing, but oof. Grammar and diagramming sentences, my least favorite thing, or one of my least favorite things I ever did, I have to say, in school. I did not like it. We always laugh because Mo's the grammar guy in the family. So if we want proper grammar or where that comma is supposed to go, we always ask him. Me, not so much. I just throw commas in wherever I feel like. Alrighty, giveaways. This past week, I just lost my train of thought completely altogether. It's just going downhill now. I don't know what to do anymore. Alrighty. This is Liberty Lane from Country Cottage Needleworks. This is this week's giveaway. I asked you to say the word peach because I thought these houses looked a little peachy. I've seen color conversions on this, so depending on what kind of color scheme you wanted, you could change it, or maybe you want to do something along those lines. I get some great peach sentences. Some of you have peach trees. That's awesome. I remember my grandfather had a good garden area, but they had in their backyard, my grandparents had a pear tree. But the bees were always around the pear tree when the pears were ripe. A really good pear salad. We use a lot of times the Asian pears, which are a bit more like apple to me, but it's a really lovely salad. I'll have to maybe, pears will be in season right about now, huh? I might have to pull out that recipe. All right. Anyway, I'm mixing up the names here. I asked you to say the word peach, and my winner is, let me pull it aside. I always kind of chuckle when it's somebody I see their name a lot on comments. Lisa Cicchetti. Lisa, congratulations, you won. So Lisa, if you could get me your address, I will send this out to you. Congratulations. Now for this week, I need to do a little bit of catch up. So I'm not going to do a giveaway for next week's video. Talked about it in this video for next week. We have, it's not called Market. What is it called? Needlework something. Where all those new patterns are coming out. So I might need to do a little bit of shopping for you and for me. So I'm going to save my money for that and do some giveaways. I'll do one next week. but I'm going to take a little break, catch up on all my mailing with what I have for giveaways right now, and look forward to one next week. Thank you all who do participate. It's so much fun seeing your comments. Alrighty, so that's it for the stitching part. If you were here only for the stitching, thank you so much for being here. I hope you got some stitching done. I'd love to know what you stitched on. And I will see you next week if you don't want to hear the life stuff. All right, life. Well, I told you that we've got 2 more weeks until Cotter has to go back to school. So there's going to be, I know a comforter came in the mail from Amazon the other day. So obviously he chose that recently and bought that. But you know, some of that bedding, it only lasts a couple of years. You don't get something, I mean, these are twin XLs, right? So you don't get something that's super, super expensive because first off, it's in a college dorm. And second, I have yet to know anybody who's had a twin XL anywhere else besides a dorm room in college. So that did come in the mail. I don't know if anything else is coming. You know, we'll see what happens. But just getting that ready. So that's that. Mo is super excited because Premier League starts this weekend. We are already slated. I said, what are we doing this weekend? He said, well, Aston Villa is playing Saturday. So Aston Villa, Newcastle. Big start to the season. That will be our Saturday. I think it's like a 11:30 or 12:30 game. It's like the big game of the day. So let's hope they do well. Fingers crossed. Otherwise, I'll have a grumpy Mo here. And what else? I don't know if we have any specific other plans for this weekend. I had my physical this past week. You know, you got to go and get all those things done, right? You know, the older you get, the more doctors you see. But things seemed pretty good. I did, and this is kind of like a public service announcement because I was supplementing, so I thought I was doing okay. But my doctor did check my vitamin D levels because, you know, I'm getting older, bones, we got to keep our bone strength. And I am really strict with the sun. My aunt passed away from melanoma very quickly. It was a very aggressive, from when she was diagnosed to when we lost her. A long time ago. Megan was just a baby at the time, but you know, and I have fair skin. I have to be careful. So I am always very, very careful in the sun. I sunscreen whenever I go out. I mean, obviously I'm not perfect. You can see I have a little bit, but for the most part, I live at the beach and look at, I'm not excessively tan. I wear longer sleeves. Sometimes when I go out, I don't go out in the middle of the day. If I go to the beach, sometimes I'm covered with towels on top of me, as well as the umbrella and everything else. So I'm pretty strict with that. So as a result, I don't get a lot of sunlight onto me, and I take a vitamin D supplement. Well, it turns out that I am very, very, very deficient in vitamin D still. And obviously we want strong bones as we age because that's really super important for mobility and health. So be careful if you either live somewhere where, you know, maybe you don't get a lot of sun, because there are parts of the world that don't, you know, have more kind of cloudier days than sun, natural sun. Or even if you supplement and you think you're doing fantastic, sometimes you got to just get these things checked. It's an easy fix. I just have to take a prescription vitamin instead of the regular over the counter. And hopefully we will get that thing under control and we can keep strong bones. I have always had, knock on wood, I have a good hefty, always have had a good hefty frame. So, you know, we want to keep that. We want to keep those strong bones. And then the other thing, my hip's been really, really bothering me lately. And many of you know that I do have some chronic pain issues, but I also have a hip that's not doing fantastic. I like to blame the years and years of excessive exercise I did, which is really ironic, right? Exercise is supposed to do good things for you, but I think I've pretty much killed a lot of the cushioning in my hips, and one is extremely bad. One is a little bit better than the other. So my doctor did say, that's it. We got to send you to the orthopedic because they got to look at this. Now, please, fingers crossed that I do not need, that this is not so far along yet that I need surgery. I'm only in my 50s. Hip surgeries they do have a shelf life, right? So they only last a certain amount of time. So we do not want to have something now if I can avoid it. I'm happy to do exercises and rehab or whatever I need to do in order to keep this thing working, but it's not working so great right now. So we'll see. I do have an appointment with the orthopedist next week, which I was really pleasantly surprised I could get in as soon as possible. So we'll see what they happen to say. But who knows? And that does bring me to, I totally forgot, I took in plans that we do have a Zoom. I was thinking, you've just experienced my train of consciousness thinking that Mo always gets. So I'm jumping now to the Zoom, and I did have a connection in my brain. I'm not sure you would have, I know you wouldn't have, because you would know what I'm thinking, but today, this is probably too late. By the time I get this uploaded, I'll have already had my Zoom. I'm Zooming from 1 to 4 Eastern time today. If you can't make it because you're in a certain part of the world or working, or you just didn't see this in time, that's okay. I'll do more. I don't do them as regular as a lot of other people, just because with my schedule, I'm never 100% sure what day is going to be available when. But, you know, if I can plan ahead and do some, that's what I try to do. So today I do have a Zoom. And if you want to know where my brain went to, I was thinking that it's 1 to 4, but I'm going to have to get up and stand every once in a while, because I'm fine when I'm sitting. I usually can sit for a long period of time, but then I pay for it when I stand up. So if I can stand up once every hour or so, I can get that hip moving, and then I can sit down again, so that when I get up at 4, I'm able to walk without completely not being able to walk. So if you do see me on Zoom today, if you are, you'll know I'm getting up a couple times just to save that hip. But other Zooms, I know Beth from the Steadfast Stitcher, and let me write this down, Beth is doing a Zoom today on World Cross Stitch Day from 4 to, she likes to say, last stitcher standing. Therefore, if you watch this on a Friday night, you can always hop on over to Beth's Zoom. If you're part of her Facebook group, it is the Steadfast Stitcher, as well as her Facebook, her Flosstube, same name on both. You could get the links there. And then the other one I know of is Late Night Stitchers, which is a Facebook group. They are having a Zoom their Zoom room is open all the time. I get the feeling if you go in and there's nobody there, I think if you kind of reach out to the administrators, somebody may hop on. I'm not sure how that works, because I don't think there's somebody there all the time, even though it's open all the time. But you can check. I know they are having activities this weekend as well. So if you're part of that Facebook group, you can check that. And with Beth, she's actually now expanded her Friday night. She's always done Friday night and Monday nights. Now she's also doing Saturdays, I believe from 10 a.m. until about midnight. There's somebody moderating most of the time in there, so you can also jump on that then too, as well as different times. I don't know of any other Zooms. I know some people, they have Zooms where they just have their own set people, so they wouldn't be open. But if you have Zooms that you invite whoever from, you know, and you want to let me know about, I can always let others know about as well. Just let me know. I know I've never been on one, but doesn't Stitching 911 Stacy, doesn't her Zoom room stay open all the time? I think possibly. She's a Facebook group. If you haven't, and her Flosstubes, she seems like such a lovely person. If you haven't seen her Flosstubes before, I'll link her down below. Stitching 911. She has some great stuff. That's all I know about the Zooms. I don't know if there's anybody else. I'm sure there are, right? I'm not in the know. I usually just know just enough. But yeah, I'm hoping maybe to pop into some Zooms besides my own this weekend. It kind of depends on what's going on. I never know exactly what our plans are a lot of times until we do them, until the day comes, and then we kind of just wing it. So sometimes I'm available, sometimes I'm not. We will see. And other than that, that's about it. It's probably enough, right? Watching soccer this weekend. Going to the doctor on Monday. I'll let you know if my hip is still functioning. Sometimes I wonder. I have a feeling one of them is pretty close to bone on bone, so we will see. But that's it. That's all I got. And that's enough chatting and kind of rambling at this point, because I know you have lots of other people to watch. I know lots of people do Fridays or weekends videos, so I know there's plenty to see. But I am so grateful that you did hang out with me and let me talk stitching, stitch with me. Again, like I said before, I'd love to know what you're stitching. It's always so much fun. And if I don't recognize the name of it, I always then go and look it up, because then I need to know, right? And how many times have then I'm enabled with that as well. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you get some time for you this weekend. Remember, you're important and you need to take care of yourself as well as everybody else. But your you time is super, super important. So make sure you take some for you. All right, that's about it. I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. And I hope everything goes well in this upcoming week and you have the best week you possibly can. And until next time, happy stitching.